Hello, and welcome to my quick, I don't want to say a review, but like a quick show off to Armored Core Verdict Day. And I'm doing this because some guys were asking, hey, what's this game like? And I guess it's because some people are nostalgic about the Armored Core games, but haven't really been in touch with it for a while. And so Armored Core Verdict Day is the latest game of the series, and it's like an expansion to Armored Core 5. So if you were to see this game, it plays very similar to 5, just with added parts and probably a refined tuning on how some of the weapons work. So with that, let's get this show on the road and see the game. One thing I kind of like about Armored Core 5, at least in comparison to Armored Core 4, is that they kind of downsize the mechs in 5. They're not as powerful as the ones that you would see flying around in 4. And I like that because they act more like military machines now. Um, and they operate within like limited maneuverability. Like if you want to be more maneuverable and fly around the whole scene, you have to actually like use the environment and rebound yourself off of objects, jumping or basically you're like kicking yourself off of a building to gain a better height advantage. I do want to add that Verdict Day is a more multiplayer focused game where that's a bit loud. I'm sure it's going to bleed over to the microphone.
Good morning. Main system. Checking pilot data.
And just to clarify, you're seeing the Xbox 360 version of this game, but this game is very well also. I mean, this game's out for the PlayStation 3 as well. And both features from I mean, both of them are the same. But yeah, this is a more multiplayer-focused game, but there's still plenty of single-player options for you. So you won't have to feel left out if you just want to play this game offline. I think the campaign for it is decent. There's a lot of missions to do. There's a lot of parts to get. And I was hoping to show the online portion, but it looks like today that either I can't connect over to the Armored Core server, or the server just might be down, which that's a disappointment if I can't show you it, but I can still explain and give you a feel of how the game is, even though I'm playing offline. Yep, looks like there's going to be no online play today.
Good morning. Main system. Checking pilot
Once again,
data.
back to the loading screen. A little recording note: it is taking about 100 megabytes per minute for this recording. I'm at 3 minutes right now, and therefore I'm at 300 megabytes useful.
Main system. Normal mode activated. Now resuming mission operations. Welcome back.
That's a lot of data. Okay, so this is the world map. This is where you would pick missions. Now, if this was online, you would see all the continents be lit up in different colors. One of 3 colors: red, blue, and green. And these colors represent the different factions that are fighting. When you play online, and basically you're always connected to the online gaming world. There's 3 factions that are at war with each other, and the goal is that each of those factions will conquer the entire world, and that's like whoever wins the season, and the game starts up in a new season, and teams, clans, players, they all get rotated to a new faction for that season, and these seasons can go by pretty quick. Like I'd say that it takes about a week to start a new season. I would love to show you some of the more clan features of the game, but I'll just say this real quick. Armored Core Verdict Day may not be a big multiplayer title like Call of Duty or Battlefield is, meaning that you won't see as many players, but I don't use this word very much to explain video games, but when you play and you get involved with these clans, there's actually a community with them. And if you were to get yourself involved in that, it's actually kind of a cool experience because there's the player base is small enough to where you may be getting in circles with particular player clans, and make new friends and stuff over them, and that's just by getting in touch with these players. I mean, the same could be said with like Call of Duty and Battlefield. But that's on a much larger scale, and it could be that you may have liked playing the game with one guy, but you may never see him again. But whereas in Armored Core, the likelihood of that happening is much higher, because it's kind of like the same rotation of these clans will show up. And I mean, a lot of these people really aren't mean or anything like that. I'm sure that if you're unfamiliar with Armored Core, they'll show you how the game works, but that's also what I'm doing here. Here's the workshop. This is where you get to build your Armored Core, and this is probably where you spend a good 60% of the game is building your mech or your AC, and then building him to the specifications you want, building him with the mission you have in mind, and then using him for that particular mission. So let's get started, and I'll show you the actual assembly. There's quite a number of parts that you have to work over. I'll start with the basics. You get the head. You get the head. Obviously, is the head. The head is in charge of like radar. He's in charge of like how good your weapon tracking is, like how good the lock-on will be once you acquire a lock-on to the target. Then there's the core. The core is the body. The body of your AC, and he's mostly in charge of your armor and defense. And since I'll mention this on here, is that if you look at the window to the left that shows the individual part, it'll say APKECETE defense, and these are all values because something unique to this Armored Core is that all these weapons, or all the weapons in the game, have different damage values. Like you see the giant Gatling guns that I have on this guy, he does kinetic energy damage, KE. And the armor that I'm wearing is good against that, so if people start shooting at me with KE-based weapons, more than likely the bullets are going to bounce off and do reduced damage. It still hurts if I get hit by these, but not as much. Now, since you see that being the highest, so now let's take a look at CE, chemical energy. Those are kind of like explosive weapons. If I was to get hit by those, it's basically going to do its maximum potential damage if I was to get hit by that. So I want to avoid that kind of weaponry. And that's kind of how this match is. I mean, that's kind of how this game is. It's sort of like a paper, rock, scissors formula. You build a AC that's strong against this particular armor type, but weak against this other type. And I say paper, rock, scissors formula, but that's not necessarily true. It still all depends on the skill of the player to win the day. So moving on, arms. Arms handle weapon recoil, and again, you see AP, KE, CE, TE. By the way, AP stands for armor points. That's the total number of hit points that you have. And for this kind of AC, I have relatively low AC because I want to focus on a maneuverable AC. So arms deal in a lot of again, weapon tracking, recoil control, and then legs. Legs handle two things. There's speed and the amount of tonnage you can carry, because all the weight of your AC goes into the legs. So these are relatively lightweight, so I can move around pretty quick, but I also can't carry that much arsenal. And you have a variety of different legs too. Right now, you're looking at the bipedal lightweight legs. I have a category for bipedal medium legs, and I'll just show you real quick what these look like, or what one of them would look like. Pretty bulky, and it's got a cool little shield on its knee, which I think looks pretty neat. And then you've got bipedal heavy, which you can get the idea. It's a bipedal, and it can carry more tonnage. If you look at the right screen where it says load on here, I've got more space to put more on. You can just tell by looking at the empty space in between that sort of eye icon that is on there. Reverse jointed, once again, there's a light and heavy version of that. Reverse jointed legs are pretty cool. They don't provide as much armor protection as the actual bipedals do, but what they do is that when you jump a whole lot higher. And the same goes for the heavy versions of those two. They're just, heavier versions of it. And these are probably my favorite legs as far as how they look. I just think they're the coolest. Next, you got tetrapod, four-legged mechs. And tetrapods tend to favor more weapon recoil control. These are actually another trend I noticed with tetrapods is that they can hover in the air better than most other leg types can, but they don't actually jump that high by themselves. And snipers actually, like a sniper class would favor these the most because they can absorb the most recoil. Now the mother load of loading capacity is tank treads. Because, take a look at it. Tank treads, that can carry a lot. And then another neat feature is that the tank treads, they can use heavy weaponry without ever having to deploy in a special stance to where you can't move. They can just fire and move on holding these heavy weaponry. Now with that, they are also the least maneuverable. I'm going to go ahead and just go back to the set of legs I've had before. Actually, I'll show you another thing later on. So another part that you have is fire control, the fire control computer. And fire control affects how quick you're going to lock onto things. They work in tandem with the headpiece. And they affect a couple of things, like what range you can lock onto targets, how wide is your targeting reticule. Because in this game, you can manually fire, but your fire control computer will lock onto the target and ensure that you're making an accurate hit, because in this game, hitting a fast-moving mech is not an easy task to do by yourself. So you use a targeting computer. That may sound lame at first, but it doesn't, like, if you play first-person shooters, you're probably thinking, like, auto-aim, oh, that's lame. But that's how this game is, and the auto-aim isn't a feature that takes the skill out of you. It's just to ensure that you can hit these things, because if you had that manual aim, you're not going to hit for squat in this game because of the distance in which you're shooting at enemies and which the speed in which they're moving at. And just an example, the targeting computer I have is called a quick lock-on type. So once I see a target, I have to get in relatively close because they don't have that much range to them. But once I find a target, bam, I'm snapped right onto him. Generators control your energy, and once again, there's actually an energy meter because these parts that you put on there, they take up energy. They're like, you may equip parts that use up so much energy that it can't even start the mech, or the AC, I mean. Boosters. Boosters are essentially, what determine, they're one of the core components for controlling your AC, because you're going to be using boosters a lot. You'll see when I play. Recon units. These are in the supplement for radar, because the ACs don't have radar anymore. They can launch a recon drone to look in the area, and you can switch to a special scan mode to help identify targets. You'll see that in gameplay. Now weapons. This game has a ton of them, ranging from simple handguns to shotguns, Gatling guns, which I favor a lot, you can see right there, to single-shot rifles. These are kind of like the assault rifles of the game. You can tell just even by looking at them. So there's a bunch of different rifle types. Sniper rifles, which are basically rifles that do more damage and can fire at a longer range if they don't have a rate of fire. I could go into explaining a whole bunch of weapons for these, but it's probably best I show you a few. Shoulder units. Shoulder units can carry missiles. They can give you an enhanced targeting computer to make you lock on even better. I'm even highlighting something that says an auto attack gun. So basically, you're firing a machine gun from your chest, and it automatically fires at the nearest enemy. Ultimate weapons are like these special large shoulder weapons, and they're like these weapons are like instant kills, but they're also like one-shot only weapons. And they take a long time to recharge. They basically like they leave you in a very vulnerable position when you're about to fire. But if you're able to hit the target, it's basically an instant kill. and Bay units here are basically secondary weapons you can have. Like, say, I don't have to have Gatling guns. You know what? I'll go ahead and load up a AC that I have that that has a little more weapon variety. Oh wait, that's building my workshop. It's just like the scenery for this data. That's what I want. And you can save a whole bunch of different data schematics for your ACs. It's pretty cool. It's a convenient way to switch over to a different type of AC that you have in mind that you want to use. I think the music is pretty cool too. Alright, so I spent a lot of time explaining the assembly line. Okay, so this AC, he's equipped with 2 battle rifles. These are kind of like the rifles I showed you earlier, but instead of doing kinetic energy, they do chemical energy. They're like giant bazookas. They fire giant explosive shells. And then the shoulder weapon he's got 1 laser cannon on there. And it happens to be one of the most powerful laser cannons in the game, the Kurosawa, but I'm getting ahead of myself explaining the fine details of each weapon here. So I'm going to go ahead and equip the lighter version of that. And then he's got the heat howitzer, another chemical energy weapon that's like a grenade launcher. It's actually like a shotgun grenade launcher. Okay, so I got a little bit of weapon variety in this guy. I think it looks pretty cool too. I like the way this one looks. It's all bulky. Yeah, I mean, you know, he looks like he's ready for a fight. Alright, so let's get to a mission. So I spent a lot of time explaining just customizing your ACs, and that's part of the fun in this game. You may not think, you know, if you can get really into building your AC. Actually, I need to explain one more thing too. It's just something to show you real quick. Take a look at, I'm just going to pick the head unit. Look at all this information just about one piece. And then now I'm looking at the core. Now I'm looking at the arms. Now I'm looking at the legs. Look at all this information to take in. This may seem a little overwhelming, but it's not impossible to understand, because if you were to hit the back key or the select key if you're on the PlayStation, you can highlight what each of these individual pieces mean, and the game will tell you. It's really not that hard to pick up either. You can stick to the basics and just follow, you know, the load and energy to get a feel for it. But once you get more into this game, there's just a whole lot more that you can do to fine-tune your armored core in the way that you want it to be. And with that said, whenever you purchase a new weapon, you can actually slightly adjust the weapon's properties, and you can calibrate it to make it either do more damage, make it fire faster, or make it fire more accurate. It's just you just do these minor adjustments to make the AC operate just the way you want it to. In this case, I basically made a medium class who's just made for just straight up in your face fighting. Oops. Went to the workshop. Now, I'm going to pick some random mission. Hopefully it's another mission. I'm going to try to go for a mission where you just do a one-on-one fight against another armored core. Okay, here's one. It looks like it might be a decent fight too, because I'm at the C ranking, and usually if they're at that kind of ranking, that means they put up a bit of a fight. They weren't easy to kill. So this is just me and another AC going at it. It's my armored core versus his, and it's going to come down to who's the better pilot. But in doing that, you know, it's all about. Hey, he's actually kind of similar to me. He's got a battle rifle.
Faith in your own ability is worth much more. Brother, I will prove there is more to battle than just winning.
But yeah, so my weapons may not work good enough.
Main system activating combat mode.
Damage. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes from building pilot skills. May have a lot of. Okay, so let me explain the HUD. This is very minimal. All the information is displayed in the circle is that radius I can lock on it. weapons because they just can break through armor, even some of the tougher chemical energy resistant ones. Oh, I even increased my ranking on that fight. That's a good start. Let me show you another mission so I can explain more of the features of operating the AC. And I'll also get into explaining some of the controls too. What should be a pretty anonymous on something that just. By the way, if I haven't said so already, there are a lot of missions just to play single player. And what's fun too is that you can actually bring in a friend to play these missions co-op as well, and you'll share in some of the money. Which, once again, you know, I talk about it. I talk about this game having a good community. Players will love to jump in and play with you. An easy mission where I can explain more of the controls, more of the system of operating the AC itself. Now, keep in mind that I'm explaining the Xbox 360 controls, but I'll try to also
main system activating combat mode.
Well, so how this works is that in order for me to shoot,
there's multiple choppers.
In order for me to shoot my left weapon,
but they're not ready to move. Try to send them out before they can react.
Which, for PlayStation, that should be the left and right, are like L2 and R2, respectively. And then pressing on the left bumper or L1, that activates me, and that puts me in sort of like a booster mode.
The chopper point A is on the move.
And you can see the difference. I'm walking, which you won't be walking. And then booster. You'll be using this just basically you turn off just so you can recharge. A or X. Try to press the button again on and on. Or hold it down. B or circle will launch a
system.
I can't see this guy. Say I don't know where he's at. I don't know where this
Here they
guy
come.
is. Even when I'm in scan, because there's
for
this
you.
wall by the way. Boom. Now I know where he's at. Now I can scan him and I can find information. Let's see what his
System combat mode. See damaged. Take evasive action.
Alright, so he's down.
Chopper point C is there one.
That means trouble. Intercept.
That one have that.
See damage severe. Take evasive action.
Now I switch weapons by holding down the Y or triangle button, and as I'm holding that down, I'm pressing on the respective trigger.
Enemy chopper on the move at point D.
Take them out now. You are leaving the mission area. Turn back immediately.
Failed. Okay, so I lost. Maybe I didn't like that loadout. I can then, you know, tweak my AC to fit the mission better. In my case, I think it's because I was trying to explain everything and I wasn't as aggressive as I should have been. So I'm not going to leave on a note where my pride is hurt, and I'm going to win that mission, destroy those helicopters, and maybe call it a day. I really wish I could show you
Main
the
system
online features, but
activating
it's
combat mode.
worthwhile getting involved in them. I'll show you the laser gun just so you can
Target forces ahead. There's multiple choppers.
Now,
They've
laser
spotted
weapons
us,
or thermal
but they're
energy
not
weapons,
ready to move. Try to send them out before they can react.
they will drain one thing that's kind of fun about energy weapons or is you can make them operate like a sniper rifle or like a regular
Lock
combat
them up
rifle.
before they can get
And the
organized.
difference is how much tap on the trigger, they can fire more at the rate of a battle rifle. It does less damage. think that was...
They're coming for you.
I'll show you
Damage severe. Take evasive action. System scan mode.
The chopper at point C is airborne.
Oh boy.
That means trouble. Intercept.
It's gonna be that. Yep.
Damage critical. Take evasive action.
Oh, he got me. Alright, so I talked about the pride and all that, how I'm not gonna let it get to me. But, yeah. I just got killed again by that same thing. Once again, I'm blaming this because I'm trying to talk about the game. We'll go with that. Alright, so, maybe I didn't like that. I'll try the sniper mech. And the reason why I picked the sniper one is because of how different its design is compared to what I've got. Now, I showed you sniper rifles, but I didn't explain sniper cannons. Sniper rifles operate just like how a normal rifle would, or how any of these weapons you've seen so far. Sniper cannons, you have to actually manually shoot them. You get into a special scoped mode to fire off these weapons. I also feel that I'm relatively proud of the sniper rifle design. It hurts like a truck. Actually, I do not have the AC data for that because I'm basically playing in the offline mode. That's okay, I know how to build it. So let me show you how some building works. I'll go through it really quick, try to explain it as best I can and without taking too much time. Alright, so it's a tetrapod leg that I used. I believe it was one of the heavier ones too. Maybe I could go with a lighter one just so I can get some extra maneuverability. Sometimes I'll just build an AC just because I think it looks cool. I'll just build one because I like how the looks of it are going, and we'll roll with it and try to operate as best I can. So I'm trying to make this one look a little neat. I like the larger designs. I like making my AC look just look massive. May not be the best designed AC ever. I wish I could actually pull up the schematics for my for the one I really wanted to show you, but I'll come close because at least its main feature is in its weapons, not the actual frame itself. Alright, so this is an example of a weapon where you have to actually deploy in a special mode in order to fire it. Some of these sniper cannons can also fire in like 3-round bursts, which are pretty awesome. That's not the one I actually use, but I'll see if I can equip some missiles as well. Missiles in this game weigh a lot, but they're fun. I'm still in the project of trying to build a AC that is nothing but I mean, focuses on doing like nothing but barraging with missiles. Alright, that looks decent. I'll keep the same shoulder weapons, why not? Okay, I wish I could spend time. Oh, right, the fire control computer. Since this is going to be a lot more longer range type, I should focus on something that's a little more long range. Now, if you're watching this and you actually do know your Armored Core stuff, yes, I know I'm picking a relatively short range fire control computer compared to what I could get, but keep in mind that the main long range weapon of the game I still have to manually aim for, so I find it pointless to try to equip a long range fire control computer to control that. Yeah, this should be fine. I can't remember what mission that one was. Should have thought, I should have made a note of that. Oops. I have a bad habit of, when I try to go to a mission, I accidentally select the workshop. Alright, so here's my sniper loadout, made to go by really quick. I'm not sure if that's it. Ah, I think this is it, because it talks about heavy helicopters. Yeah, cool. I found it. So, part of the success to this particular mission is that speed, I mean, you know, speed is of the essence, as I have to, it's best I destroy them
Main
before they
system
even launch.
activating combat mode.
Target forces ahead. There's multiple choppers.
They've spotted us, but they're not ready to move.
Okay, I hit the right
Try to
trigger,
send them
and
out before they can react.
I'm in the,
System
my overboost
scan
is
mode.
like approach the
Energy
target
and
quicker.
energy depleted. Right arm ammo at 30%.
There's actually another sniper AT that
Energy at
is hitting me pretty
30%.
hard.
They're moving at point B. Here they come.
Watch it, they're coming for you.
Sniper cannon is almost out of ammo, so I'm gonna die.
C damaged. Take evasive action.
Next is the rail gun right top.
The chopper at point C is airborne.
Enemy trouble. Intercept. That's the last chopper. Just scraps left now.
I say I don't want to use
Let's
this
finish up
weapon
and get
anymore,
outta here.
because I mean, I can't really use this weapon like that for a while, and I can I'm going to go down on the D-pad and press the right trigger.
Purging.
It's purged. I just tossed the weapon away.
Left arm ammo at 30%. System scan mode.
Two more enemies in the area. Says.
System combat mode. System scan mode.
Oh. Actually, there's still more enemies in the area. This one.
System combat mode.
It's hard to me that
System
the booster I have
scan
is
mode.
very maneuverable. It doesn't really give me a lot of power. So I'm not taking it.
System
It did
combat mode.
contribute to helping me out. As I was having
Scan shows no
shot
hostile
just
readings.
going
That's a wrap.
technical shooting.
A job well done. Let's go.
So you can see at how well.
Mission objective complete. System returning to normal mode.
I'm gonna do one more mission. One more mission. It'll be another me versus another Armored Core fight, because I think I haven't really expressed it how nasty these sniper cannons can get, which is a key feature to this one. Like, you were just seeing me shoot at a stationary target, but these things, they have such high impact that once they get hit, it practically stuns the AC that you're shooting at. It stuns the AC that you're shooting at, and because of how rapid fire it is, I can do a follow-up shot, and I can keep doing that follow-up shot. And it's not just the sniper cannons that can work with that strategy. There's plenty of other weapons that do that as well. Surprisingly, hand cannons, the little pistols that you get for these things, the backup weapons, actually work really well. Oh, look at this! He's a tetrapod too, so he's almost like he's carrying a sniper rifle. I'm carrying a sniper cannon, so we're both kind of long range. His other weapon is a laser rifle,
System activating
which I happen to have
mode.
one too, so we're almost the same. Except I'd like to think that I'm a little more longer range than I use cannon that I have to require actual manual aiming for. So I'm going to let him hop around, and I'm using the drone to let him get my sight. Okay. Boom. So he's going to start dodging. I'm going to use the shot. I may have to redeploy. I'd also like to note that playing against computer AI, they are cheaters.
System scan mode. System scan mode. You are leaving the mission area. Turn back immediately.
By falling off the edge. It's also bad letting your teammate do that. Damn, he is not going to make me a shot. There, oh yeah. You can see how challenging
Right arm ammo at 30%. Right arm ammo depleted. Mission objective complete. System
and there's other
returning to
powerful
normal
weapons that are
mode.
like that as well. It doesn't have to be a sniper cannon. There's autocannons, these 4-barreled rapid-fire guns that are basically like ginormous anti-aircraft guns, but they do a good job tearing apart another AC. So, I think I showed like a good chunk of Armored Core in about. Wow. Okay, so this took me about a half hour to show. I was hoping to get it within 10 minutes. Oops. But I mean that's Armored Core in a nutshell. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe see you on the battlefield.